Profitable writing niches will never, ever be your golden ticket to immediate or long-term freelance writing success. I have seen so many writers try to pick the profitable niches and then they burn out, they hate their job, they quit, and they're like, freelance writing and freelance copywriting is not for me. No, no. Profitable writing niches, yes, there are more niches that have more clients that are bigger, right? But I call those cake niches, and there's icing niches. We can mush them together so that we have a really good, well-rounded business to cover all the things that you want to talk about. But when we're only focusing on just lucrative projects or just lucrative niches, it's never going to work. You cannot sustain something you don't like for the long term. Doesn't work. Brightpage says, such a key question most of us don't think to ask. Hi, Marie. I always feel like this is something that we need to talk about. There's so much information about what's the best niche or the best project or the best this. And the deal is like, that's not going to work. Everybody has their own individual likes. Everybody has their own individual strengths and skills, and everybody has their own path. So we're kind of putting those things, in order, right? We're going to put those things in order today. Hi, Purity or Ariel. Let me know if you want me to call you Ariel or Purity. I'm fine with either one. Whatever you feel like is best. So let's talk about number one. Let's talk about these things. So number one, when we're talking about our profitable niches, right? So our profitable niches versus lucrative freelance writing projects. Here's the deal. When someone says niche, they mean industry. Hi, Vicky. Always love the wave. I wish I could send the wave back. Like, I can't put emojis in here, but I wish I could. So when we're talking about profitable writing niches, okay, we are not talking about project types. A lot of times people think niche means like, I specialize in white papers or I specialize in blog posts. No, your niche is the industry that you're in, right? FinTech, ag tech, biotech, or, food, travel, e-commerce, all that stuff, vet tech, SaaS, equine stuff, all those things, pets. So that's what we're focusing on because that actually helps us find clients. When people are like saying they just need to find white papers, and this is what I've found most of the time. If you're someone who already knows how to find clients in a certain type of writing, you're like, oh, I know exactly who my ideal client is for case studies, or I know exactly who my ideal client is for content strategy, go with it, roll with it, fine. But a lot of times I meet writers who are like, oh, my specialty is this. And I'm like, where are your clients? And they're like, I don't know who needs this. So we start with niches, right? Because they help us figure out what those niches that we're interested in actually create, right? What's the most common 4 or 5 types of content in the pets niche? What's the most common 4 or 5 types of content in real estate, right? Pronounced R-E-L, Ariel, Ariel. Okay, I'll call you Ariel. So Ariel, all right. And when we're talking about these things, I think a lot of times it's just really easy for people to just say like, sorry, unless you're in fintech or SaaS or like blah, 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 whatever the niche is, these big niches, right? Then you're never going to make money. And I've had students say that to me. Like I've had Wealth Lab students and I've had Runway students say like, oh, well, someone told me unless I'm in A, B, or C niche, I'm never going to make money. Or unless I do copywriting, or unless I do white papers, or unless I blah, blah. No, 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 that's not the case. The case here is that those niches become profitable because you are interested in them. You want to write about those things, right? You are matching cake and icing, which I'll put that in here. I'll put a link to the cake and icing video. Let me put a little card in here for later. But I'll put that in as a card at the top. But that's what they want, right? Like the things that you match cake and icing, the way you create a well-rounded business isn't just like just copywriting or just white papers or just pet tech or whatever. It's a well-rounded approach. That's why I always teach my students that, because there are lots of things as writers that we're really interested in. Some of those things are cake, some are icing. There's also niches within niches. So for example, yeah, it's good to see you, Tommy, here from the downstairs with our 2 wild and crazy pets. It is just this really good way to put holistic things together with your niches and your types of projects and make them all sing. Like you are meeting the need, right? We're meeting the need of fintech clients or travel clients or food clients. We're seeing what they're creating. Then we're like, oh, these are the services I can offer. And it's always a huge pile of services. You don't have to offer all of them. You offer the things you're interested in. but we're using our niches and our projects based on data, right? Based on what those clients are actually doing, based on the things we like, balancing what we like to do, right? And like I said, a lot of writers that I meet, whether they're students or whether they're on the like subscribers, they have these different likes, right? Some of them are like, ooh, I get really nerdy. Oh, I was going to give you an example. So for me, they get really nerdy about like plants, right? So plants might be icing to them, but their other niche that they really like to work in is banking, or the other niche they like to work in is travel, or some other kind of cake niche. For me, let me give you an example. So for me, I only write in very specific parts of fintech. Okay. So I will write in mortgage tech or mortgage tech. And sometimes I write about credit cards. And sometimes I write about like budgeting ish stuff sometimes. But a lot of times, like, I don't consider myself a fintech writer. Like, I will put that on my LinkedIn because that helps me get work. But I'm very particular about the fintech work I take on. So mortgage tech, or we're talking about credit cards, like travel cards or something, or we're talking about like budgeting, how to kind of set up all your budgeting. Those kinds of things I work on. And I feel like a lot of times people think they have to meet the whole niche, fintech, the whole thing. No, you're allowed to pick niches within niches. And those are profitable because you start learning the types of clients, right? Who's in there? Who's in mortgage tech? Is it just mortgage lenders, or is it mortgage brokers, or is it title companies, or is it real estate agents? Like, who's in that? And then you start helping them with their content because you see the types of content they're creating. Marie says there are over 80 different kinds of things we can choose to write. Yes, Marie posted that in our community. So my Wealth Lab students end up with their post-course community in Breakthrough. It's called the Breakthrough Community. It's our 24/7 community. And she posted all these things, these 80 different types of things that we can write. And we don't have to write all of them, but the goal is to kind of mush these things together. And nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about, they're just like, what's the best? What's the thing? What can I make money in? Instead of kind of understanding that your business is like a soup. Your business is like, maybe you like crinkle cut carrots. Maybe you like julienne cut carrots. Maybe you like roasted carrots, right? It's still carrots, but we're putting them in different forms into our soup. And maybe you don't like to have, maybe your soup is, instead of it's a beef stew, it's like a hearty chicken noodle with rice. Or maybe your soup is like Italian wedding, right? Everybody has kind of the base of a soup, but we're putting in different ingredients to kind of match those things together. And this is something that I've seen time and time again in my own business, in my students' businesses, is like the more we can direct to what we like to do, what we're interested in, the things that are surprising and spark curiosity in us, the better our business grows, the better projects we get into, and we actually end up falling into a lot of different projects we didn't expect. So I never expected to write about real estate. It was something I was always kind of interested in. But I had an editor ask me like, hey, are you interested in real estate? Do you want to start writing this real estate stuff? And I was like, sure. And I fell in love with it. There's a lot of times where we get these really cool opportunities that just come from being interested in something or trying something out instead of just focusing on best or like the exact same thing that someone did. Is like, I became a copywriter, then I've only focused on sales pages and email drip campaigns, and then I only worked with these clients. Like, that only works for a very small subset of people. Everybody is so different. So I want you to kind of embrace that. I want you to embrace this idea that they go together. It's not just profitable writing niches. It's these niches that are a mix of cake and icing. Cake means that they're big niches with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of clients. Icing is like there's usually thousands of clients. There's not enough for you to send a ton of LOIs, but it's something that can bring in a creative thing you can do. It can bring in some money. It's a fun thing to do, or it's something that's growing, right? And then we're going to add in kind of these lucrative projects. Anything that you're interested in can become a lucrative project. So here's a really good example. I'm not fast. I'm not a fast writer. I never have been. But I know other people who can crank out, I don't know, 20 to 50 articles a month. And that's like, they're in heaven. That's great. When I write 20 to, like, the most articles I think I've ever written in a month was like 22 or 21. And I hated it. I hated it so much. So there's a big difference in like how you're doing this work. Any type of project that you take on, the projects that I take on are different than the person who loves to write a ton of content every month, right? They love to do a lot of short things. I don't want to do a lot of short things. Some people love to write 2,800 word articles. Fine. That's cool. That's their business, right? Any type of work can be profitable. That's the thing. Except for like if you're just doing, well, actually, no, that's not true. So like any type of work, as long as we're kind of combining services and we're really focusing on our clients' needs and we're paying attention to what they're creating, how we can help them, that can be lucrative. That's the thing is I just feel like people think it's either or, and it's not. They're together. And it's also not this focus wholly on like profitable niches or, oh, you have to have a lucrative project type. Anything can be like, this is how people end up specializing, right? So like there's people who just specialize in white papers. That's the only project they do. There are people who just specialize in case studies. That's all they do. There's people who just specialize in blog posts or content strategy or email drip campaigns. That's all they do because they've specialized after working with clients so much. They know their ideal client. That's their best work. They love doing it. That's at a point when they've already figured out their whole system of getting clients, what they should charge, all of that, right? And all of that becomes profitable by just specializing in that one thing because they've already done all this other stuff. They know what works for them. They know what they like. And when you kind of put all those things together, you know what you like, you know what your clients need help with, you're really good at it, right? You're really good at putting all of the pieces of the puzzle together in your freelance writing or copywriting business, then it all sings, right? That's why people see really great examples of someone focusing on one thing. That was a lot after a lot of trial and error and doing other projects, right? So when we're kind of building our business, we kind of need to figure that out, right? Instead of just trying to pick one path and being like, this is it forever. Marie says, I had a client who was a small company who said, what else can you do? And I sent her that list of 80 things. And I ended up doing a few extra jobs that were smaller, but it pumped up my revenue. Yeah, that's the thing is a lot of times if you're someone who's coming in just saying you just do one type of project and you haven't actually experimented with a ton of projects, you're just like, someone told me to do one project. Your client thinks all you can do is that one project and you're missing out on revenue, you're missing out on upsells, you're missing out on a lot of things with that client because they're like, all you do is emails. That there is a point where you can specialize your business, right, to just that one thing, but I really think it's important to kind of play the field. So that's the first thing is we're kind of putting these things together. They go together. They're two pieces of the same puzzle. Okay, let's talk about number two. So number two here, when we're going over our stuff, is when we're kind of getting these high-paying clients, right? High-paying clients want to know what's on the buffet, okay? They don't want to know that you just do one thing as someone who's experimenting. If you are just like the expert, so for example, I am trying to make sure my business is mostly content strategy, brand messaging, and positioning projects, right? I've done all the other projects. I really want to specialize in those. So for me, as someone who's been a writer for almost 11, or like been a freelance writer for almost 11 years, that's what I want to specialize in. But when I'm kind of getting a high paying client, I need to be on the tuning fork, right? So I'm at the point in my career where I'm like, I'm not doing all that other stuff right now. I'll try again later if I want to. But if you are someone who's like 1 to 3 years experience or 3 to 5 years experience, you should be kind of adding these things, right, to your LinkedIn, to your website. What are the niches that you're in? What are the types of projects that you work on? Because those high quality clients are looking for someone who is in their niche, right, and also does things, right, things, lots of things, so they can give you a bigger, meatier project, right? They have bigger pipelines. They have longer lead times on their work, right? So we need to make sure that's easily available to them so they know, oh, you don't just do one thing. One thing is fine, like I said, if you want to specialize in that after you've already figured everything out. But most of the time when I'm looking at copywriters or I'm looking at content marketing writers or journalists who are turning into content marketing writing or people who are leaving their full-time job to become freelance writers or freelance copywriters, they don't understand this tuning fork idea with their high quality clients. They think that they just like go out and find them. And that's not really the case. Like if you go and send, like this is the thing, if you're going to send an LOI to a high quality client, they're going to do recon on you. They want to make sure that you're on the same page as them, right? They want to look at your LinkedIn. They want to look at your website. They want to look at your samples, or they want to look at whatever you have available, right? They're not just going to be like, great, let's just do whatever. Like they will do recon on you. And I feel like a lot of times when we're thinking about high quality clients, we're just like, how do we get them? Instead of understanding how do we meet them where they're at? That's the tuning fork. The tuning fork means when someone reads your samples or someone even reads your LinkedIn or even reads your website, if you don't have samples, you're like, yep, this is the thing, right? Your clients are like reading it and they're like, yep, yep, yep. You get it, right? You're all on the same page. And like the tuning fork is like, boo, like you're on the same page, right? So these high quality clients, you need to meet them where they're at. That's the goal. It's not that you're just like hanging out and you're like, high quality clients need a writer. No, you have to meet them where they're at, right? So these things go through with what's in your LinkedIn, what's in your website, what's in your samples, and then understanding that you're having these specific niches you work in, that you have these specific projects. And one of the questions that I get is like, if I put that on LinkedIn or my website, isn't that going to make it so I don't get certain projects? No, no. There are plenty of times, lots of times, where someone has read my LinkedIn or my website and they're like, hi, I'm in the blah, blah, blah niche. I didn't see that mentioned on your website, but I love I love the vibe of your website and your LinkedIn. I love your samples. Will you consider working with us? So there are lots of people that are getting the impression of what it's like to work with you in your website, your LinkedIn, and your samples, and they will reach out anyways, even if you don't do that type of work. That's why those things are so important, right? We oftentimes are like so worried about having lots of samples. We're worried about having hundreds of samples. It's way better to have quality samples that can hit the tuning fork of a high quality client than having a huge pile of them, right? Quality over quantity. And I think this gets missed a lot when people are like, look, I have a portfolio. Let me prove to you I've worked with 300 clients and I have 500 5-star reviews. That's not it. When people read your website and your LinkedIn and they do read your work, right? However many samples you have, that's the thing where they're like, yes, you get it. You get my pain points. You understand my niche. You understand what I'm actually doing with content, which is like converting people or building an audience or getting leads, sales, subscribers, downloads, all the things. Like, you get it. The getting it part is more important. That's the more important piece. So when we're combining these lucrative projects, they become lucrative because you show someone what you can do, and they're getting the idea of your presence online, that you can provide help to them. Like, you get it. That's more important. So these niches end up getting work in your niches, but it also attracts people who are like, I just read your content, right? Your website, your LinkedIn, your samples, and I love it. Will you come work with us even though we're an e-commerce company and it doesn't say anywhere that you work with e-commerce companies? You can always try it out, right? You're like, sure, let's try it. And I feel like that is a really important piece to actually getting, right? Actually getting those high quality clients. They speak a different language. This is something that I go over in depth with my runway students and my Wealth Lab students, is how to speak that language. And we do reviews, right? I look through their LinkedIn content, I look through their websites, I look through their samples, and I show them how to talk like that. How do we talk at the same level? How do we meet those high quality clients where they're at? Instead of being like this attraction thing where we're like, we have to absorb all the clients. It's not how it works. The more you can focus on high flower power, the more you can focus on speaking their language, the better your inbound leads. The more people will reach out on LinkedIn, the more people will reach out on your website. And it'll also get you a better quality client who has long-term projects. Those things are likely in a really good niche because they're like, hey, we have money, we want to create content, we need these 4 or 5 deliverables done, or we need content for the next 6 months. That's kind of the thing we're going for. So if you can speak that language, that's when you're kind of relaying the niches and relaying the experience and relaying the types of projects, and they're getting like that tuning fork experience that you get it, right? So that's number 2. Let's talk about number 3. Number 3 here. Also, we don't have any dogs in here today. The dogs are outside playing. So we haven't talked about this that much yet, but so we adopted our foster dog. We named her Clementine. My students actually saw her. I put her on the live Q&A the other day for my students, but Clementine and Charlotte are outside playing WWE SmackDown. So I just thought we would let them play instead of pulling them inside just to be on camera. So they're out playing right now. Maybe they'll be up here, maybe not, who knows. So let's talk about 3. So when we are relaying these things, right, we're relaying these things together. We're relaying information to our clients to attract those high quality clients. We want to make sure that we are taking our approach and we're understanding that a red light client and a premium high tier client are not even in the same sport. They don't get each other. They don't understand. So a lot of times I will see stuff that talks about like, I'm in this niche, I'm in fintech, and I'll do this work really quickly, and like I have all this, blah, blah, blah stuff, and they're talking about themselves instead of relaying why their niche experience and why their project experience and why their past experience helps their clients, right? How does it solve their clients' problems? How does it help their clients get results? There's this huge disconnect. The big focus, right? The deal is like a lot of people are just like, just pick something and go for it. No, no. In order to connect with high quality clients and really get inbound leads and understand what's going on, right? Really kind of get those good clients, you have to understand the language they speak. You have to be on the tuning fork, right? So your current approach of like, I do this and I do that and I can blah, 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 blah. They don't need a writer. They don't need a writer. Nobody needs a writer. Okay. Nobody needs a writer. They need the right writer for their brand to speak their language. Okay. That's what we're going for with all of our assets, right? Our LinkedIn, our website, and our samples. We're also thinking about our niches as a gateway. This is just a gateway. The types of projects you've done are just a gateway. It's an initial connection to your clients to say, hey, I'm in the ballpark. We're kind of playing the same sport. If we have red light clients, a lot of times what ends up happening is like, they just want you to pump out content. They don't care what niche you're in. They don't care about your specializations. They don't care. They're just like, pump it out. And they can't really give you a reason why they're creating content. They can't really explain their audience. They can't really tell you what the point of it is. They're just like, we're supposed to create content. No. So we want to make sure that we are kind of meshing these things together to understand our client attracting strategy, right? This is a client attracting strategy to make sure we're kind of mixing everything together. I am just like, I can't tell you enough how many times like nobody needs a writer. That's just like, I need a sandwich. What kind of sandwich? Like a grilled cheese or like a cold cut sub or like a meatball sub or like a very specific sub from Subway, right? Like it's just so random. No one needs a writer, right? Like a lot of times you'll read content that talks about like, well, I can just help you. Okay, like that's not what we want. We are kind of meshing these things together. High paying clients, the people that want to give you the big bucks, want to see your actual writing. Like you can tell them what's going on, right? Your LinkedIn, your website, your way that you have your online presence clearly explains that you understand what they struggle with when it comes to content in general, creating content, ongoing content, connecting with their audience, understanding pain points, actually getting the content to do what it's supposed to do, right? Likes, shares, subscribes, downloads, leads, sales, all that good stuff. That's the juice. That's the thing. I often just kind of, I feel like when we just try to think about it this way. If we're going into the grocery store and you're just like, I just need the best orange, right? Like that recipe isn't very specialized, right? Or lemons. Let's say you're just like, I just need some lemons, right? If I go in that store and I'm like, I know I need Meyer lemons, or I know that I'm going to make key lime pie and I need key limes, right? I can't just use any limes. I need key limes, right? Which are different. Or Meyer lemons, which are different, right? Or I need, there's like whatever it is, 4 different kinds of pears, right? They're all different. You need a certain kind. That's what we're looking for. We're not just like, oh, this is the best pear. Bake it into a pie and it's going to be fine. That's not it. They have different uses for different things, right? So there's different times you would use key limes versus regular limes. There's different times where you would use Bartlett pears versus, what was that other one? There's Bartlett pears and then there's, oh my gosh, I just blanked. Anyways, there's multiple different kinds of pears and they all serve a different purpose, right? It's the difference between like a navel orange and a mandarin orange and a clementine, right? So they're all different. Or peaches or nectarines, any kinds of fruits that have buddies, right? That are kind of similar but different. Think about it that way. Is like they're not just going to the store. I think recipes are just such a good way to relate it. Is like you're not just going to the store to get steak or whatever the vegan, version, like you're not going to the store to just get a certain kind of almond milk. You're getting a certain kind of almond milk from a certain kind of brand. And you're not just getting steak. You're getting a filet mignon, or you're getting a New York strip, or you're getting a ribeye, right? These are the kinds of distinctions that we should be making. Those are the things that your clients care about. And yes, we're kind of having this pre-filtering process of niches and projects that you offer. But if you knock it out of the park with your content on LinkedIn and your website, you will get lots of leads that you don't expect from people who are like, I just love your vibe. You get it. Like you are finally I finally found someone who gets it. Not a writer. I found someone who gets it, right? And that's what we're trying to go for, right? That's the kind of differences that we're looking for. And you can do this with just pick a fruit. I don't know. Apples are a good one. Quinces, right? Quinces are way different. Granny Smith, then there's like Red Delicious, which are the gross ones. And then there's like Fuji, there's like whatever it is, hundreds of types of apples. And I feel like that makes it more clear. It's like, it's not that you're picking the best apple, because there's a different type of apple that you do use for different applications. There's a different type of orange or a different type of lemon. It's not just the best one all the time. They apply to different things. If you can weave all that together, you will get tons of high paying clients. You will finally have people say, oh my gosh, that person gets it. Like, they get it. And it's not the writer part. It's that you get it. You get the content creation process. You get content marketing. You understand the editorial process. Like, you are explaining that to them in your LinkedIn, in your website, and then obviously samples, of course. If you don't have a ton of samples, don't worry about it. We're not trying to shove everything down their throat. You're likely going to send 3 samples. Get to 3. 1 is good enough. That's it. So we want to think about it as like quality. We want to think about it as a client attracting strategy. And we want to think about it as, yes, we do a bunch of things. Yes, we have certain projects, but those things are all part of kind of the same recipe. Your niches, like, there are people who succeed in the most random ass niches. Like, I've talked to people who succeed in the niches that you would never expect. They're like, yep, I'm stuffed with work, right? There's lots of different things that, like, if you're interested in it, if you have good projects, you understand what kinds of projects your clients need help with, you can communicate that, right? You're using that tuning fork technique in your LinkedIn and your website. You're creating great samples that other clients would like, right? You show through a bunch of different steps that you get it. That's the thing that makes the difference. So that's why we see writers who do really well, and copywriters too, that do really well in random niches where other people really struggle to find clients. So there'll be times where people will be like, yeah, I'm killing it in this niche, right? I'm doing all this stuff. I'm making a ton of money, and it's like they're interested in it. If other people try to go do that, right, it all falls apart. And like I said at the beginning, this is something I've seen a bunch of times. I've seen people who will start at freelance writing. They're like, I heard Bitcoin's the thing. Like, let's do it. Or I heard blah, whatever the niche is. Just name the world's most popular niche, whatever it is. They're like, I heard that's the thing. Cybersecurity, let's do it. They're just like, I'll just write for anybody. No, no. And like a few months in, they're like, this is terrible. Freelance writing is the worst. And then like after a year, they're like, I'm quitting. This is terrible. Hi, Shista. Shista. Oh man, I need to listen to that recording again. Hi, welcome. Good to see you here. She's one of my clients, or one of my, I was just talking about clients so much. She's one of my students too, who's been through the Wealth Lab and Runway. So a lot of times when we're putting these things together, I want you to kind of think about that. The tuning fork is more important. The niches, you're going to mix cake and icing. I'll put earlier in the video, I'll put the marker up for it. I'll put the little card so you guys can watch it. But you're balancing a whole recipe in your business. You are doing the things that interest you most, the things that you will pursue, the things that make sense to you, the things that you can continue to market and write about, that are exciting to you and interesting. That leads to work, and your LinkedIn, your website being written for that tuning fork really helps. Okay, if this has been helpful so far, give it a thumbs up. If you want to learn more about being fully booked and actually build the copywriting or freelance writing business that you've been waiting to, subscribe. Let's see. I think that's kind of all the stuff that I wanted to make sure I covered. One of the things I did want to say is I'm trying a new video format. So you guys, I don't know if I'll start it next week or after I come back from time off, but I'm starting that new video format. I have one of them up. They're pre-recorded videos. Let me know what you think. If you're going through this particular video, what are the things that you've seen that are kind of tuning forkish? What are the things that you feel like connect with your clients or explain pain points? Or what do you really struggle with? What do you struggle with when it comes to connecting with high quality clients? Is it something where you just don't know what they like or want or looking for? Do you struggle because you've been with a lot of red light clients, so it's really hard for you to kind of understand the opposite side of high quality clients? Do you struggle with making a collection of cake and icing niches? Do you struggle with understanding what kinds of services are really important in your niches or really important to the clients you want to reach out to? Comment that below. Let me know. I'm not going to be on the live stream for a while because I'm taking time off. You guys can probably tell. Sorry. I'm feeling a little under the weather today. So we're not going to have a live stream for several weeks. But I will probably release some pre-recorded videos. If not, I'm going to start doing that as well. So we'll have a bunch of pre-recorded videos that are going out. So I hope you guys enjoy those. They'll be like the live stream, except they'll be like fun GIFs and like other little diagrams in them. So it'll be cool. And I hope that everybody has a good holiday season. I know that the holidays can be up and down. And I know for me that this year has been really tough. So if you guys have been on the live stream, you guys know I lost Bo earlier this year, about 6 months ago. And dealing with that grief has been making it really difficult for me to handle my business life and my personal life, amongst other things. And there's also been like, I've known a ton of people who have lost pets this year. It's just been really tough. And this year has been tough. Like this year has been tough for me in multiple different facets as I kind of balance different pieces of my business. And I work on my business and in my business. So I do want to say that like if this has been a tough year, you're not alone. Everybody there, every year people have a tough year, right? Some people had their best year ever this year, right? Some people had their best year ever. I had a really tough year. And that's just me, right? Every year someone kind of struggles with that. So even if next year is a hard year, you're not alone. There's lots of people who are struggling. There are lots of different things going on all over the world that are really difficult. So I just want to let you know that holiday times can be up and down. Yearly analysis can be up and down. The feelings that you have or the thoughts that you have about your year can be up and down. It's part of the ride and it's not fun, but it does make you appreciate the good times. And, you know, that's, I think about that with Bo. Bo was 16 years and 7 months. He lived fucking forever. Like, he lived so long. And we basically, you know, he was, we took care of him the last year of his life. He had a ton of eye issues. And he was basically like a hospice care where he had drops and he had dog goggles. We call them his doggles. So he had dog goggles and he had a special ophthalmologist and we went to all these emergency room things. And but he lived a great life. Like pretty much his whole life until he was about 15 and a half when he was having eye issues. He had a great life. So even though I miss him and even though it's really difficult for me to kind of grapple with that, you know, our new dog is not Bo and it's different and it feels weird that it's new and different and it's not Bo. I think about all those years, those 15 and a half years that he had of really great life and the last year where he had a pretty good life. Yeah, it was kind of tough because he had medical issues, but he wanted to live. Like every time we thought about putting him down, he just got better. He was like, nope, not today. So I think about that. Try to think about those things. Like think about the good stuff, even if things are hard. This is always a cycle. There's always going to be an up. There's always going to be a down, whether that's the economy or personal life or business life or money or time off, or I don't know, any of the other things. It's always going to be an up and down cycle. If you've been in a down cycle for a while, do an analysis, see kind of what's going on. Is there something you can change? Is there something that you can work on? Is there something that can help you feel joy on a daily basis? So think about those things. I hope everybody has great holidays. I hope that you get to do some fun stuff. I hope you get to take time off. Sending a reminder that nobody cares if you take 5 business days off or 10 business days off throughout the whole year. Nobody cares. Your clients don't care. Set a boundary. Be like, nope, I'm coming back January 3rd or I'm coming back January 17th or 18th or whatever it is. Like, set the boundary. Nobody cares because you can work every other day of the year if you want. I did. So, Shista, I did get a new dog. We were fostering, we had a situation where we were fostering a dog and then we traded foster dogs because our first foster dog was like not a really good fit for Charlotte. They just, you know, she was a lot more puppyish and she wanted to be on top of Charlotte and Charlotte was like, no. So we traded with someone else for her foster dog and they just clicked. Like her name's Clementine, and we're calling her Clementine Joe because, like Joanne Fabrics, so J-O, because she eats fabric. So we had like a whole thing where she ate, I had to take her to the vet because she ate like a huge piece of fabric, like way bigger than a washcloth, like a big piece of fabric. She just swallowed it. And I was like, okay, I thought you were just chewing on that. But she eats a lot of fabric. So we're calling her Clementine Joe because she, like Joanne Fabrics, she eats all the fabric. She has all the fabric. But she's not in here right now. They were outside playing. So I'll have Clementine on the live stream at some point. But yeah, so like I said, like I am so happy for how she gets along with Charlotte, and how well, like, they just really clicked. Like, they play all the time, and they understand each other. Like, they're way close all of a sudden after we've had her for about a month. So yeah, so we do have a new dog. I'm still kind of, I just try to be transparent. I'm still really struggling with losing Bo. So like having the new dog is one thing, and I think what is really helping me is like that her and Charlotte are just like two little peas in a pod. Yeah, the fabric just passed. Luckily, luckily, so the vet told us that like it's really likely that the fabric will pass because dogs have, I don't know, a better capacity to do that. So yes, as far as I've seen, she did pass this very large piece of fabric. Everything seems to be good. But I also started realizing from that piece of fabric that she actually ate a lot more fabric than I even saw. So no more fabric. So she only gets whole toys. She cannot have a toy. She can't, like, Charlotte likes to have just little pieces of fabric. She likes to just chew the little pieces of fabric. She's not a big fan of brand new toys. Like, she wants it to be roughed up and dirty and like used. So she would like, Bo would have like the initial new toy and rough it up, and then Charlotte would get the used toy. She always likes the used toys. So Charlotte likes the pieces of fabric. So those are all over the place because that's what she likes. And turns out Clementine just eats them. So she did pass the fabric. She has passed a lot more fabric, so no more fabric. And yeah, so Charlotte has a new buddy. They are fast friends, and that has been great. So yeah, so she'll be on the live stream at some point, but I am taking a break for the live stream for the next few weeks while I take some time off. And I hope everybody has great holidays. I hope you do a business assessment, look at all your stuff. I hope everybody has a really great rest of their Friday, and I will see you soon. Bye.